Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. I just kind of want to pick up on Mary's questioning over there. Is the White House or DHS instructing border agents to refuse ride-along requests from reporters? Because that's what a lot of our folks on the ground are hearing.
Again, I think we've seen, watching a number of the reports you all do, a number of Border Patrol officials who are quoted in them, who appear in them, and certainly from the White House, we support that. It's coordinated through the Department of Homeland Security, and I'd point you to them for any additional questions about the logistics of press access.
But, our reporters used to be able to get ride-alongs during the Trump administration, and you all came in and promised to be the most truthful and transparent administration, and you all, oversee the Department of Homeland Security. So if you all wanted to grant access to the press, couldn't you just tell DHS to do it?
Again, we fully support transparency, and I would encourage you to talk to the Department of Homeland Security about any requests you have for press access or what you're looking to accomplish at the border.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Question. And, one of the biggest criticisms of the Trump administration's Remain in Mexico policy was that it overwhelmed all these border towns in Mexico and created pretty dangerous living conditions for these migrants. And so now you have the exact same thing happening. Even though you all have rescinded that policy, these border towns are overwhelmed, and the president is saying, do not come. So how is the situation on the ground in Mexico any different?
Well, the situation on the ground is certainly challenging, in part because we inherited a dismantled system that wasn't prepared for processing asylum requests, that had left in place the Remain in Mexico program, where people were in a camp that was did not have the conditions that we felt.
But there are new camps popping up.
Well, I think what I'm conveying to you is that we are less than 60 days, about 60 days in. We are working to repair what has been an unprepared and dismantled system. It's going to take some time. Our policy is that we're obviously going to continue to make sure we're working through our laws, and the border is not open. But we also, as you know, have changed our policy to approach it in a more humane way and keep kids safe. And that requires putting in place more effective and efficient processing at the border. It's going to take some time. We're working through it. Every day we have new steps and new improvements we're taking to make the system more efficient and effective.
So is there a limit or a cap to the number of unaccompanied minors that are going to be allowed into the U.S.?
A limit or a cap? So should we send some kids who are 10 back at a certain point? Is that what you're asking me?
I'm not setting the policy here. I'm just asking you what the Biden administration's policy is. Is there a limit to the number of children that will be allowed in? I mean, the numbers we're hearing now, 565 on average every day. I'm just curious what the end game is here. How many ultimately would be allowed in?
Well, I think where we are is we're focused on some of the very specific numbers. So when we came into office, there existed about 13,000 permanent beds in HHS, OR, permanent and influx shelter system facilities during the last administration. Thousands of these beds, approximately half, were taken offline due to COVID. Staffing was also reduced to put it on par with the new reduced capacity. This was sufficient for the prior administration. This is how we got here, because they were expelling children in addition to families and single adults. We decided, as you all know, that we will be more humane about how we approach this. There wasn't operational capacity built. The prior administration also did not consider that there were other mitigation efforts like masking, improved ventilation, cohorting, and other measures that would contain the spread of COVID. There's now revised CDC guidance, which means there's greater capacity in these facilities where we can expedite getting children into them. We are taking steps to ensure that when kids come to the border, we look and see if they have a phone number in their pocket so we can call the family member and get them to those family members as quickly as possible. These are the steps that we're taking at this point in time. Our policy continues to be we're not going to send a 10-year-old back across the border. That was the policy of the last administration. That's not our policy here. Go ahead.
Is if unintentionally, in your commitment to keep these children under 17 or 17 under safe, if unintentionally, is the U.S. government incentivizing parents to send their children across the border alone because that is their best chance to enter and stay in the United States?
Well, that certainly you heard the president say in this interview that he conducted that he is encouraging people not to come. Now is not the time to come. This is not a safe journey for people to take of any age. And he believes, as he talked about last night, that no parent is looking and just trying to make a bet on whether their kid can kind of make it. This is a very difficult and treacherous journey. Most of these kids are fleeing very challenging circumstances. And his view is that there's a number of steps we need to take, and steps that he hopes he can work with Democrats and Republicans on. So that's his goal.
How's that message communicated to that we heard him obviously in the interview? How is that message being communicated by the U.S. government to those thousands, perhaps tens of thousands, who are already in the midst of this dangerous journey that they're making to the border right now, and they are not receiving that message?
The thousands of children or the thousands of families?
Children, families, adults, all of them, all the in-between that our teams from Telemundo and other reporters on the ground are meeting.
Well, we convey with every official that speaks. Secretary Ali Mayorkas did an interview just yesterday. You've heard Roberta Jacobson speak to this, and a range of officials beyond them who are speaking directly with countries, working in partnership with them, speaking directly through channels that are in the region, that now is not the time to come. The border is not open. This is a treacherous journey. The vast majority of people will be certainly sent back on their journey, and that's the message we're sending.
I guess it seems maybe it's a mixed message that's received right now, but initially Alejandro Mayorkas said, don't come now, right? And then we heard from the president saying, don't come, that the U.S. is in the process of setting up this system so that in your own home country you can apply for asylum.
Yeah.
So how do you... It appears to be a mixed message, or it's received as a mixed message, which is don't come now, come later, and others don't come at all.
Well, I think this is no doubt a complicated circumstance, and what we are trying to do is address this in an effective and humane manner, and that requires putting in place additional policies and measures. You referenced one of them, which is reinstituting the CAM program, which would allow kids to apply from their home country. That is certainly an option.
How long would it take till that's available to them?
We are hoping that can be happen soon. I don't have an exact timeline for you, but we would like to put that back in place. It was a program that was already in place and was ended in 2017. So that's an example. We want to build on beyond that, so we can have programs where it ensures that kids are not taking this difficult journey, that they have other choices and other options. But I was also, and this will take some more time, but we're going to keep seeing these cycles, which we've seen. This is not the first cycle. 2014, 2018, these numbers have been increasing since April of 2020 of last year. Unless we work together, Democrats and Republicans, to address the root causes, there have been policies and bills the president worked with Senator Lindsey Graham as an example on a bill to try to give more funding to address the root causes in these countries. If we don't take those steps now, we're going to keep being on these cycles every year, year after year.
Can I ask one last question?